All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome one and welcome all to the one, the only Junk Shop Library channel, home of Improv Bible Study, the atheist Bible study where we read every last word of the King James Bible of 1611, because it's the one in the public domain, and then rip it a new asshole from a modern, atheist, humanist perspective. That sounds appealing to you? Stick around, hit that thumbs up, consider subscribing. If that doesn't sound appealing to you, make sure and hit that thumbs down on the way out. So good to see everybody today. I see the chat beginning to fill up. Thank you all so much for joining me. Before we launch into announcements, y'all know what I must do. I must thank the patrons. There is a group of the elect, if you will. A fantastic group of people who have visited the address you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and I'm just knocking into the desk and making the camera shake. That's that professionalism that they've come to expect of me. And pledge their financial support to the channel for as little as $1 a month. These are the folks who keep us going, keep us streaming 6 days a week on the upgraded and improved professional version of StreamYard that allows us to do things like randomly add a series in the middle of the day on a Saturday because Junk Shop got bored. These folks truly are the lifeblood of the channel, and I couldn't be doing what I'm doing, and certainly couldn't be doing at the quality and frequency that you've come to expect without them. In a special and particular, I got to shout out and say thank you to the members of my top 2 tiers, my illuminated manuscript, Captain Kimothy, and my genuine calfskin patrons, Bill, and my first patron, Paul Cavish. And these folks really and truly have gone above and beyond in their support of the channel and have allowed me to do some things that I would not otherwise have been able to do with said channel. And I have to particularly thank them so very, very much. All righty. Don't startle me stepping on the bubble wrap like that. Let's see if we've got announcements. Today is Wednesday, the 16th-ish, something like that. We're in the middle of December and in the middle of plague time. Time has no goddamn meaning anymore. But we're in the middle of December, which means we're coming up fast and furious on the 20th. On the 20th at 3 p.m. Eastern, we will be having our much touted and long anticipated 250 subscriber celebration stream. We will be taste testing the body of Christ with various sides and condiments. And I want to thank y'all all so much for your drive in spreading the word about the library and getting us over that critical 250 subscriber mark so that we're able to have this lovely celebration that we're going to have. Make sure y'all check back in with us Sunday the 20th, 3 p.m. Eastern, for at least a little while. I know that's a very busy day for the community, and there's a lot of folks going to be live and streaming around this coming up weekend, but I hope you're able to join us here in the library, at least for a bit. Tomorrow, we will have Mental Health Thursdays, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern. Our normal Thursday afternoon hangout where we swap tips and tricks and support for those of us who deal with mental health issues, and also for those who do not and just want to be there to be the proverbial flying buttress of support for those of us who do. Then Friday, we will be having improv Bible study again, as we always do on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And Saturday will be the third episode of our Book of Mormon study. We are in the book of First Nephi and trying to figure out what in the name of God's green hair is going on. It's an interesting experience, and it's entirely too much fun. I hope y'all can join us. That will be at 6:30 Eastern. A little late for some of our international audience, but just exactly the right time for people in sane time zones. So there. All right, I'm going to check in with chat real quick, see who we've got in the library today. We've got a bit of tea and Danish, who's chatting with me before the stream began. Good to see you as ever. Mr. Nielsen, who is in drive mode by now, and so should not, under any circumstances, respond to this shouting out. Amiga Nuts, the man with the links. Good to see you as ever, my friend. For No Raisin, a new friend of the channel. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Little Wolf's Den, trying to sneak in, but stepping on the bubble wrap. Godless Sewing. Hey, how's it going? Hadn't seen you very often, but I know you are out there. Good to see you as ever. GeoSam, what's going on, my friend? Nerdy Rodent, who suggested I eat the body of Christ with ranch. And I told him I would. Blech. And I'll try to keep an eye on the chat and greet other folks as they come in, but no guarantees and no promises, because Old Junk Shop's a little scattered right now, due in part, though not in total, to the fact that they are working on the roof above the library today. And so if you hear strange backing up truck and equipment noises from outside the window, or if you hear banging and crashing like the sky is falling over my head, it's just because there's people trying to keep us safe from the weather as the weather patterns change. Catnip Entertainment, hello and welcome. I do not remember having seen you before, at least under that imprimatur, but it's always good to see new folks or new accounts here in the library. Welcome. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to tell y'all, ask y'all, bounce off of y'all, get feedback on y'all regarding, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was. So I hope if it's important, it'll come back to me. Otherwise, oh well. Got real fucking southern up towards the end of that sentence, didn't it? It's important, it'll come back to me. Oh well. I should specifically qualify that this, in addition to being from an atheist perspective, this is a Bible study where Old Junk Shop lets free and is a little fast and loose with the language. So much like the original source material, as I'm fond of saying, this is not a child or workplace friendly Bible study. Unsurprising, because the Bible sure damn isn't. God, that's a loud truck. Y'all let me know if I need to bellow a little bit louder, though I think I've got my volume set. It's Critical Cripple. Everybody behave. As if. All right, where's my damn glasses? There they are. Okay, last time we ended up with the butler being sent out to converse with the ambassador of Sennacherib. Sennacherib is moving in on Jerusalem, and we don't know what's going to happen. But the king of Jerusalem sent the butler out to meet with him, so I think we can assume not very well. Paul Kamish, how's it going, my friend? Good to see you, as ever. All right, so we begin today with Isaiah 37th chapter, and we'll see what happens. And it came to pass. And if you don't understand why I had that reaction to the phrase, and it came to pass, you're not watching the Book of Mormon study, and you should join us at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. We got running jokes. Wasn't that smooth? You see how I did that? Wasn't that just flawless? And it came to pass, when King Hezekiah heard it, that he rent his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth and went into the house of the Lord. And he sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests covered with sackcloth, unto Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz. And they said unto him, Thus saith Hezekiah, This day is a day of trouble, and of rebuke, and of blasphemy. For the children are come to the birth, and there is not strength to bring forth. It may be the Lord thy God will hear the words of Rabshakeh, whom the king of Assyria his master hath sent to reproach the living God, and will reprove the words which the Lord thy God hath heard. Wherefore lift up thy prayer for the remnant that is left. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah. And Isaiah said unto them, Thus shall ye say unto your master, Thus saith the Lord, Be not afraid of the words that thou hast heard, wherewith the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I will send a blast upon him, and he shall hear a rumor and return to his own land, and I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. So Rabshakeh returned, and found the king of Assyria warring against Libnah, for he had heard that he was departed from Lachish. And he heard say concerning Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia, He is come forth to make war with thee. And when he heard it, he sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, Thus shall ye speak to Hezekiah, king of Judah, saying, Let not thy God in whom thou trustest deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Behold, thou hast heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all lands, by destroying them utterly, and shalt thou be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered them which my fathers have destroyed, as Gozan and Haran and Rezeph, and the children of Eden which were in Telassar? Where is the king of Hamath, and the king of Arphad, and the king of the city of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Ivah? And Hezekiah received the letter from the hand of the messengers, and read it. And Hezekiah went up unto the house of the Lord, and spread it before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed unto the Lord, saying, O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, that dwellest between the cherubims, thou art the God, even thou alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou hast made heaven and earth. Incline thine ear, O Lord, and hear. Open thine eyes, O Lord, and see. And hear all the words of Sennacherib, which hath sent to reproach the living God. Of a truth, Lord, the kingdoms of Assyria have laid waste all the nations and their countries, and have cast their gods into the fire. For they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. Therefore they have destroyed them. Now therefore, O Lord our God, save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art the Lord, even thou only. Then Isaiah the son of Amoz sent unto Hezekiah, saying, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Whereas thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib king of Assyria, this is the word which the Lord hath spoken concerning him. The virgin, the daughter of Zion, hath despised thee, and laughed thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem hath shaken her head at thee. Whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed? And against whom hast thou exalted thy voice, and lifted up thine eyes on high, even against the Holy One of Israel? By thy servants hast thou reproached the Lord, and hath said, By the multitude of my chariots am I come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon. And I will cut down the tall cedars thereof, and the choice fir trees thereof, and I will enter into the height of his border, and the forest of his Carmel. I have digged and drunk water, and with the sole of my feet have I dried up all the rivers of the besieged places. Hast thou not heard long ago how I have done it, and of ancient times that I have formed it? Now have I brought it to pass, that thou shouldest be to lay waste to fenced cities into ruinous heaps. Therefore their inhabitants were of small power, they were dismayed and confounded, they were as the grass of the field, and as the green herb, as the grass on the housetops, and as corn blasted before it be grown up. But I know thy abode, and thy going out, and thy coming in, and thy rage against me. Because thy rage against me, and thy tumult is come up into mine ears, therefore will I put my hook in thy nose, and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back by the way by which thou camest. And this shall be a sign unto thee. Ye shall eat this year such as groweth of itself, and in the second year that which springeth of the same, and in the third year sow ye, and reap, and plant vineyards, and eat the fruit thereof. And the remnant that is escaped of the house of Judah shall again take root downward, and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem shall go forth a remnant, and they that escape out of Mount Zion, the zeal of the Lord of hosts shall do this. Therefore thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, He shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shields, nor cast a bank against it. By the way that he came, by the same shall he return, and shall not come into this city, saith the Lord. For I will defend this city to save it for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake. Then the angel of the Lord went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So Sennacherib king of Assyria departed, and went and returned, and dwelt at Nineveh. And it came to pass, as he was worshipping in the house of Nisroch his god, that Adramelech and Sharazar his sons smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Armenia, and Esarhaddon his son reigned in his stead. And there we have Isaiah 37. Hey, Brainbug, how's it going? Didn't see you in the chat on your forest floor thing, but it was a great little video. Thank you for sharing that with us. See if anybody else came sneaking in while I was otherwise occupied. Ox, hey, how's it going? I hadn't gotten around to doing my fingernails yet, I know. And Titan Uranus, an old friend of the channel, one of the oldest friends the library has on the internet. Good to see you. Okie dokie. So, the butler and the scribe and the writer go back to Hezekiah inside Jerusalem, and they say, all right, so the ambassador of Sennacherib says he's going to smite our asses. Sorry, I can't say, I keep drifting. I can't seem to stay centered. And my wonderful wife, Julie LaVoice, comes sneaking into the chat. Good to see you as ever. And Hezekiah gets all stressed out and shit. And he goes into the temple and says, all right, God, here's the thing. I'm all scared of Sennacherib because he done sent word to me that he's going to smite us all and not spare us as soon as he gets back from his errand. Because God gave him a rumor. God, the rumor monger. This is a very busy little chapter. There's a lot of saying and a lot of going on. Matter of fact, I'm not going to try to summarize the events because in the space of, what was it, like 40 verses, 38 verses, I got busy as shit. So I got to go back through and make sure because I already know I've skipped stuff. All right. So sorry, I missed the whole going off to Isaiah. I am not good at this, am I? Okay. So Hezekiah freaks out. And he puts on sackcloth. A lot of sackcloth in the book of Isaiah. He freaks out, puts on sackcloth, and sends these three long-suffering fuckers, Eliakim his butler, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, sends them to Isaiah and says, we're a little freaked out because Rabshakeh says we're going to get smoked by Sennacherib. Aren't you glad your parents didn't name you Rabshakeh? Hey, Matt Big, what's going on? And says, yeah, we're afraid that God is going to let him smite us. And Isaiah says, we're not real worried about it. He's going to have other shit to deal with, and he's going to leave us alone. Cool. So by the time Rabshakeh gets back to talk to Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, he finds him engaged in war with Libnah. And the king of Ethiopia, the rumor comes around, the king of Ethiopia is rising up against Sennacherib. And so they go back to Assyria. But first, Sennacherib sits down and writes a little letter to Mr. Hezekiah, king in Jerusalem. He says, all right, here's the thing. I got bigger fish to fry than you. I got to go put down the Ethiopian rebellion that I'm hearing a rumor of. But don't think for a minute that it's because I'm scared of you or your God. I've stamped bigger cockroaches than you, and I've burned up bigger gods than yours. And here's where Hezekiah makes his mistake. Not his first, and at the rate he's going, I don't suspect his last. But Hezekiah decides to try to put one over on Jehovah. Hezekiah takes the letter. Mama Atheist in the house. Good to see you. How are you today? Hezekiah takes Sennacherib's letter, takes it into the temple and spreads it out in front of the Ark of the Covenant, which he's not supposed to do, because the Ark of the Covenant is inside the actual Holy of Holies, which is only supposed to be entered by the high priest, and that only once a year. But Hezekiah decides he knows better. So he goes in and he shows God, because remember at this point God is still held to like live in this place and sit under the statues of the cherubims that are on top of the Ark of the Covenant. We're to an all-knowing portion of the history of Yahweh, the evolution of Yahweh, but we're not to the ever-present portion of his evolution yet. So Hezekiah takes Sennacherib's threatening letter in and spreads it out so that God can see it. Says, God, here's the thing. What happens if you let Sennacherib get away with this? He's threatened your chosen people. He's threatened you. He is talking all big and shit about the kingdoms he has laid waste and the gods he has destroyed. And I don't think you ought to let him get away with it. And he comes out of the temple all proud of himself. And he gets a letter, not even a personal visit. He gets a letter from Isaiah, the son of Amos or Amos or Amos or whatever. He gets a letter in which Isaiah says, how are you going to tell God how to do his God business? Fucking rude. But here's the thing. He's going to smite Sennacherib. You don't have to stress about it. But he's going to do it because he wants to. Not because you tried to finagle a smiting on your own behalf. So there. Oh, and also, you're not allowed to plant any crops for the next 2 years. You're just going to have to eat what comes up out of the ground. And not till the 3rd year from now are you allowed to plant vineyards and shit. Let that be a lesson to you. And then God, almost as an afterthought, sends an angel into the camp of Sennacherib somewhere. Exactly where Sennacherib is camped out is a little hard to parse right now. If you read the poem, the author of which I'm drawing a total blank on, but one of y'all is probably going to Google it and post it in the chat before I finish this incredibly convoluted sentence. If you read the poem, The Destruction of Sennacherib, there is a the angel smites the enemies of God while they're encamped outside of Jerusalem. But in the text, by the time Rob Shockhead gets back from talking to the butler, Sennacherib is at war against Libnah. And then here's the rumor that the king of Ethiopia is rising in rebellion. And then he sends the letter, and then he goes off to deal with Ethiopia. So I don't know where Sennacherib's camped out. Not important. So yeah, it's a secret camp. It's just like, yeah, apparently. So anyway, God sends an angel, like I said, almost as an afterthought, sends an angel to smite the Assyrian army, except it's either an ineffectual angel or it's the angel of object lessons. He smites 5,180 of the Assyrians. And then the rest of them get up in the morning and see a bunch of motherfuckers laying around smoked. And they all pack up and they go to the house. And that's the end of the chapter. This is... You ever read the Odyssey? Like the epic of Homer, the Odyssey? Well, when Odysseus finally gets home after, his voyage of bad luck that kept him away from home for the better part of a decade or whatever it was, and he goes in and he does the massacre of the suitors, the people who have had the effrontery to court his wife while he's been missing, presumed dead, around Troy for the last decade. The story completely breaks down. Just a whole bunch of people smiting each other, a lot of incredibly graphic violence. But there is literally no way to stage that battle the way it's written and have it work. You got people coming in through windows that were solid walls a minute ago. You've got people hiding behind tables that were on the other side of the room from where they just were. You've got somebody goes off into the kitchen looking to hide, except it's on the other side of the room from where it just was, and there wasn't access to it a minute ago. That's what this chapter makes me think of, long story short. People running around all over the damn place, this end of the county to that. Everybody thinks they know what's going on. None of it really seems to work. This is laid out as history, but if ever there was an obvious case of something being passed down orally and not actually being a wrote down tradition, it's this damn chapter. Anyway, 5,180, the incredibly and weirdly precise number of 5,180 of Sennacherib's soldiers get smoked in the night. Why in the night? Why couldn't God do it in broad daylight? Why couldn't the angel actually smite the whole army? Maybe he's just not strong enough. Maybe... I don't fucking know. Yeah. So anyway, enough of them get smoked to where Sennacherib decides it's not worth hanging around wherever he is. He goes back to Assyria. And that's the end of the chapter. And we're ready for chapter 38. Prophecy. A lot of letter writing. I love Hezekiah trying to put one over on God, though. What if they tell the world that you're not strong enough to protect us? So you better keep those damn Assyrians away from us, because it'll be bad for your reputation if you let us get smoked. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death. Well, that, okay, didn't see that coming. Sick unto death. And Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz, came unto him and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Set thine house in order, for thou shalt die, and not live. Then Hezekiah turned his face toward the wall, and prayed unto the Lord, and said, Remember now, O Lord, I beseech thee, how I have walked before thee in truth, and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. Then came the word of the Lord to Isaiah, saying, Go, and say to Hezekiah, Thus saith the Lord, the God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will add unto thy days 15 years. And I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city. And this shall be a sign unto thee from the Lord, that the Lord will do this thing that he hath spoken. Behold, I will bring again the shadow of the degrees, which is gone down in the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward. So the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it was gone down. The writing of Hezekiah, king of Judah, when he had been sick, and was cured of his sickness. I said in the cutting off of my days, I shall go to the gates of the grave. I am deprived of the residue of my years. I said, I shall not see the Lord, even the Lord, in the land of the living. I shall behold man no more in the inhabitants of the world. Mine age is departed. It is removed from me as a shepherd's tent. I have cut off like a weaver my life. He will cut me off with pining sickness. From day even to night wilt thou make an end of me. I reckoned till morning, that, as a lion, so will he break all my bones. From day even to night wilt thou make an end of me. Like a crane or a swallow, so did I chatter. I did mourn as a dove. Mine eyes fail with looking upward. O Lord, I am oppressed. Undertake for me. What shall I say? He hath both spoken unto me, and himself hath done it. I shall go softly all my years in the bitterness of my soul. O Lord, by these things men live, and in all these things is the life of my spirit. So wilt thou recover me, and make me to live. Behold, for peace I had great bitterness, but thou hast in love to my soul delivered it from the pit of corruption, for thou hast cast all my sins behind thy back. For the grave cannot praise thee, death cannot celebrate thee. They that go down into the pit cannot hope for thy truth. The living, he shall praise thee, as I do this day. The father to the children shall make known thy truth. The Lord was ready to save me. Therefore we will sing my songs to the stringed instruments all the days of our life in the house of the Lord. For Isaiah had said, Let them take a lump of figs and lay it for a plaster upon the boil, and he shall recover. Hezekiah also had said, What is the sign that I shall go up to the house of the Lord? And that's 38. So Hezekiah gets sick with an abscess, and he's laid up in bed. And Isaiah comes to him and says, God says your ass gonna die. And Hezekiah gets all stressed out and prays that he not die. And Isaiah goes back to the house. And God comes to Isaiah and says, hey, go back to the castle, the palace, whatever. Go back to the king and say, I'm going to grant him 15 more years to live. And also, so that he knows it was me, I'm going to turn back time by, what was it, 10 hours? 10 degrees on the sundial, whatever that means. And that way, y'all will know that this is actually my word and not some weird-ass desert spirit whispering shit in your ear. So Isaiah goes back to the castle and he wakes up the king and says, you're going to live for another 15 years, and you're going to know that by the fact that the sundial goes backwards 10 degrees. And then it proceeds to recount the song that Hezekiah sang of gratitude to the Lord for saving his life. And Isaiah says, oh, and by the way, take some figs and smear them on the boil and you'll get all better. And they did, and he did, and there we are. Two miracles in one chapter. The miracle of the fig plaster and the miracle of the time going backwards on the sundial. You just know that out there somewhere there is some apologist who has added up the time in the history of the world and found an extra 10 hours. They did it with Joshua's extra day. You know somebody's done it with Hezekiah's extra 10 degrees. And there we are. Okay, so Hezekiah is going to live an extra 15 years, and he promises God that he's going to teach his children to walk in the way of the Lord. Titan says, I find the miracle of the fig plaster somewhat less compelling. Yeah, me too. Here's some medicine. Get better. And take my word for it, you're going to live another 15 years. Just make sure you sing songs to the Lord so he doesn't take it back. Not real consistent in the degree of his miracles is this God character, is it? Last chapter, we had 1,180 people smote in their sleep. And this chapter, the very next chapter, we've got fig medicine. Fig medicine. Okie dokie. There's not much to get your teeth into there. I don't know. If I was this Yahweh character with the history of vengeance and shit, I might still be holding it against Hezekiah that he tried to put something over on me. Because he just did that last chapter. Either that or I'd be protecting him so that he wouldn't die of something so goddamn pedestrian as a fucking abscess. Make up your mind, Jehovah. What kind of character are you? It's almost like you were written by men over the course of a couple of thousand years. But we know that can't be the case. Fig medicine. 39. At that time, oh my. All right, work with me here. I am not an expert in ancient Mid-Eastern languages. At that time, Merodach-Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he had heard that he had been sick and was recovered. And Hezekiah was glad of them, and shewed them the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not. Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, and said unto him, What said these men? And from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country unto me, even from Babylon. Then said he, what have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, all that is in mine house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not shewed them. Then said Isaiah to Hezekiah, hear the word of the Lord of hosts. Behold, the days come when all that is in thine house, and that which thy fathers have laid up in store unto this day, shall be carried to Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. And of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. Then said Hezekiah to Isaiah, good is the word of the Lord which thou hast spoken. He said, moreover, for there shall be peace and truth in my days. And there's 39. Hezekiah's a dumbass. Okay, so after the miracle of the fig medicine, the king of Babylon hears about it and sends some little trinkety shit to Hezekiah. Sends him a fruit basket. Says, here, I heard you like figs. Said, all right, well, I'm glad you got better, neighbor. I'm glad you got better. And Hezekiah, the wise, the son of David, proceeds to take the king of Babylon's emissaries and show them all his shit. Said, look what I've got, look what I've got, look what I've got, look what I've got, look what I've got. And then sends them back to the king of Babylon. Isaiah comes to him and says, who the fuck were those assholes? Hezekiah says, oh, nothing much. Just emissaries from the king of little place you might have heard of called Babylon. And Isaiah says, and you didn't happen to show off anything while they were here, did you? You just signed for the fruit basket and moved on with your life, right? Hezekiah says, nope. I showed them all my fancies. Every little last pretty thing that I had did I show them. Isaiah says, you are one dumb son of a bitch. You know they're going to smite you, right? The king of Babylon is not exactly known for his love of his neighbors having pretty shit that he hasn't taken. You know they're going to come back with an army and take all your shit, right? They're going to take your shit. They're going to take your armor. They're going to take the fruit basket back. They're going to take your goddamn sons and chop off their nuts and make them servants. Hezekiah says, oh, fine, but that won't happen till after I'm dead because he already promised me peace in my lifetime, which is only another 15 years anyway. I'm going to go take a nap. And that's the end of the chapter. What? Okay, they did not teach us the story in Sunday school and church. I don't know what to do with that. Hezekiah, the king of Jerusalem, is granted an extra 15 years by the miracle of fig medicine. And what does he proceed to do with it? Deliberately antagonize the Babylonian king and take the news that his sons are going to become eunuch slaves to said Babylonian king by shrugging his shoulders and saying, well, not till after I'm dead, so what does it matter to me? What? What in the world? What in the world is going on with this book? So that 2020. Hello, I hadn't seen you around here before. Welcome. So, I mean, I understand this is a story that does not lend itself well to, you know, puppet shows for 10-year-olds. But they didn't teach us this story when I was in high school, Sunday school, and church either. I mean, what in the world is going on in Hezekiah's brain here? Does he have some kind of brain worm disease? Because he is not behaving himself like a wise and godly king the last couple of chapters. This motherfucker is acting some stupid shit out in these pages. So, what is he thinking? He has tried to put one over on God. He's tried to manipulate God by appealing to his vanity and his feelings hurt. Hey, Yox, welcome back. And then, after being spared for his effrontery, and then having his enemies all smote, well, 1,180 of them smote, he proceeds to show off his treasure houses to a rival king. And then when he's given the prophecy that all of his stuff is going to be taken and his sons are going to be turned into eunuchs, his response is, yeah, but I'll be dead, so what do I care? God promised me peace in my lifetime. Hezekiah is the Bronze Age equivalent of the people who believe in climate change, but just don't give a shit because it won't come to a head until after they're in the ground. That was special for you, Mama. What is going on in this character's mind? I mean, the stupid factor is high with Hezekiah. It's enough to make me think that the stories of Hezekiah are actual history recounting real stuff. Because real life people would be this damn dumb. You wouldn't hardly write a character that was this fucking stupid. I mean, maybe you would, but it would almost have to be as a MacGuffin. Maybe that's what Hezekiah is. He's a MacGuffin to get from the failure of the Assyrian attack to the coming Babylonian exile. Just to explain and to fill in the gaps. I mean, this is some... Anyway, we're coming up on the top of the hour. 40's too long to do in the amount of time we got left. So we're going to have to break Camish's law and end on an odd numbered chapter. Kevin Lentini, good to see you. Welcome. So that 2020. The subject, we're reading our way through the book of Isaiah, verse by verse, and trying to figure out what in the world's going on and why people take it so damn seriously. I'm glad to finally be a little bit baffled by something in this book, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because it's been so easy to read and follow lately. And now I'm just confused. I can't follow these people's motivations. I can just barely understand what's going on. You've got armies charging around all over the county doing war with this person and that person and that person and this person, and rumors of war with the Ethiopian king, though we never did get it settled as to whether that was actually going on or not, or it was just a rumor that God decided to put in Sennacherib's ear to lure him away from Jerusalem. This is a confused, muddled mess, but at least it's a new confused, muddled mess. It's not like back in the wisdom literature when it was just 4 kinds of psalms and we didn't know which one we were going to come up with on the next chapter, and that was the only question we had at any given time during the entire 150 chapters of the damn book of Psalms. I mean, other than the fact that Hezekiah is as dumb as a sack full of rocks and doesn't give a damn about his sons either, we found out. And not a lot going on. But we got some smiting. 1,180 smites. You better believe we're using that smite outro today. 1,180 smites. And time travel. God turned the time back 10 degrees. I don't know enough about ancient Near Eastern timepieces to know how much of time that is, but it's some. Yeah, new smite record, says Brainbug. Yes, I think so. Unless you go all the way back to so what's that mean? It's a running joke here on the channel, so that there was a time back in like some point in the Pentateuch, it was fairly early on, while we were reading our way through the Bible, that it seemed like about every 3rd verb was some form of to smite. And so it just became a running joke that when are we going to get some more smiting? This was kind of fun. 1,180 smites, a pouting king, fig medicine. It's no opera zombies, but let's face it, we can't have opera zombies every time. Oh, we're dealing with a language barrier. Okay, no, don't worry about it. We got folks from all over the world crowding up in here. So glad to have you. And I also know I talk real fast and with a real Southern kind of accent, so there's that. Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour. Thank you so much for joining me. New friends, old friends, really old friends of the channel. If you like what you found, hit that thumbs up for me. It really does help me from an algorithm perspective. And if you're new, consider subscribing. We do the Atheist Bible Study 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow, we'll have the Mental Health Positivity Hangout, Mental Health Thursdays at the same time. Brainbug says, I can have opera zombies if I want to. True. True. Until we meet again, everybody take care. Be safe. Stand against hate. And we will see y'all again soon. I just got to find my outro because I always end up in the wrong tab here at the end. There we go. Special thanks to Brainbug for making the intro outro that we use here on the channel. Awesome.